Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Nashville Predators Throwback 2000 franchise mode here in NHL 24. So in last episode, we had the stacked 2003 NHL draft, and we grabbed some really good prospects for the future of this team, which is nice. We have like a nice little foundation that we could start building our team upon, which is very exciting. We drafted a lot of solid players. Some of them are already going to be on our roster next season in our NHL team and AHL team. I will show you guys everybody that we drafted if I could remember, because my brain's still a little scrambled from the cold. I ended up getting like sick literally a couple hours after that recording that you guys would have seen for the 2003 series, so it was really weird how I was totally fine in that episode, but then a couple hours later I was on the bathroom floor, and yeah, that was not a great feeling. So anyways, in terms of last episode, we drafted first with our first selection, this generator guy by the name of Steven Morita from Switzerland. Very excited for this guy. I think he's going to be a prolific goal scorer in his career. He's only 17 years old. He's a bit of a smaller dude, so hopefully not too injury prone, but I think he's exactly what this team needs in terms of getting our offense up there in terms of scoring, because obviously we don't really have that scorer, but I think he's going to definitely be that guy going forward for us. So very excited for that. We also did draft a couple other insane pieces. One of them is going to be in the AHL this season, that being a young Joe Pavelski, who is right now is showing in the NHL, but he's not going to be for the season. But 74 overall, low elite. Very excited for Joe Pavelski, of course, because Pavelski, fantastic career and very good two-way kind of guy. So I'm very excited to see what he could do for us. Hopefully he could become a good PK specialist, kind of like what Patrice Bergeron would have been like at first overall if we would have been able to get the first overall selection in the draft. So there is Pavelski. We also did draft some other crazy good players. We drafted Rick Rippon, so I drafted him just because I wanted him to win a Stanley Cup with the roster. Like, maybe he's a good fourth-line center of the future. I don't know, but I decided to draft him with our third-round selection, so we do have a little bit more grit for our bottom six as well, which is very exciting. We did also draft this Alakis guy, I think. He's a 65 overall at 18 with medium 9 potential, which is not too bad. So at least this guy could potentially be something useful maybe at the NHL level if he develops good enough. If not, he could be an AHL top 6 forward, which is not bad either. We also drafted a couple other solid players, including this Pete Winnick guy, or is it Patrick Winnick? I don't know who Pete Winnick is. Maybe I had a player named Pete Winnick in a different series. I honestly don't remember. But medium elite power forward that went 4th round. Really nice steal there. Also from Switzerland. So we'll see if this guy ends up being on the top 6 at some point with the Morita, because it would be interesting to have both our Swiss guys playing together at some point in their careers. We also drafted this Pete McMillan guy, and this guy's pretty bad. This was our worst selection, and he was our last selection of that 2003 draft. So don't expect that guy to develop, considering he's low bottom 6 and 49. But maybe he becomes something for the AHL team. That's only the hope. And then from a defensive standpoint, we drafted a ton of defenders to help out our team, including this Jacques guy, Antoine Jacques, another generated guy. 2nd round, two-way defenseman. Nice little starting overall for a 17-year-old, so very excited for him. Should be nice. And also being a right-handed defenseman, you gotta love that too. We also drafted Shea Weber, and of course Shea Weber, great defenseman, just got inducted into the Hall of Fame as of yesterday, which is a very interesting choice in my opinion. I'm gonna not give my opinions too much because I feel like some people would be like, hey, Shea Weber deserves the Hall of Fame. But in my opinion, I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. That's all I'm gonna say. I don't see him as a Hall of Famer. Great defenseman, great leader, but I think he's kind of a borderline Hall of Famer, because now if you say Shea Weber's a Hall of Famer, you're locking in Roman Josi, Erik Karlsson, and a bunch of other good defenders like Brent Burns into the Hall of Fame for sure too. So there should be a lot of other guys that make it if Shea Weber's going to make it. Also, Brent Seabrook is another guy we drafted, of course. Brent Seabrook, another good right-handed defenseman. So drafting a lot of good right-handed defensemen is going to give us a lot of depth on that right-hand side, which is exciting considering most of the time you get left-handed defensemen. Like we drafted also Ryan Suter. So Ryan Suter will also be joining our team in the next few seasons, which is exciting. And that is it in terms of that. And we also drafted one goaltender, that being Jimmy Howard. So we do have a goaltender that could be a backup for Sedin, or maybe he'll be better than Sedin and Sedin gets moved out at some point. But Jimmy Howard is one of the other goalies of the future. So we drafted a lot of good players in that draft, and I'm very excited to see how they all develop and how our team develops going forward. But anyways, let's get into your guys' comments now and see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into free agency and starting up the 2003-04 season simulation. So the first comment is from Michael Dose, who says, outstanding draft, really excited about the defense rebuild, but Pavelski was a steal. And yeah, Pavelski was a huge steal, and I am definitely also very excited for the future of the defense, because all those defenders that we drafted, those like 5 defensemen, all of them should be on our blue line as early as, I'd say most of them should be on the defensive core within 3 to 5 seasons at most. So I think that the future of the defense is pretty bright. Hopefully it simulates well, and hopefully has good chemistry, because that would even make it much better. The next comment is from Sanaritaku, who says, with 85 defensive awareness, Marita could also play on the penalty kill. Leave Weber and Suter and juniors for now. Definitely glad you're getting Pavelski into the AHL right away. I could see him on a line of him, Marita, and Spezza doing real damage in the near future. And yeah, about Marita playing on the PK, I think that definitely could be a thing for him. Maybe as early as this rookie season, to be honest, because Marita, he could play left wing, he could play right wing. He also has good face-off stats, which is very interesting. So he could technically play all 3 positions. He's also got the good defensive awareness and stick checking. So having him on the PK, the power play, and 5-on-5, this guy might be able to be a lethal short-handed threat, and also on the power play a threat, and also 5-on-5. So this guy might be a complete killer. Also, he's wearing number 30. Which I don't really like, so I might have to change his jersey number before the start of the season. Because number 30 as a forward, it just doesn't seem right. It should be like a goaltender's number, so I think I might change that before the start of the season. I just don't know what I should change it to. Because I don't know what his junior number would have been. Probably like 28 or something like that, because I can't see him wearing 29. I might give him 28 or 29, because 30 just does not make sense for a forward. It's kind of weird. But yeah, also about leaving Suter and Weber and juniors, I will totally do that. And a future lineup, Pavelski, Marita, and Spezza could be something. Another thing could be Pavelski running the second line behind Spezza. And then obviously Marita could be playing on the top line with maybe Hartnell, for example. Like maybe we do Hartnell, Marita, Spezza, and then Pavelski runs the second line with maybe some guys like Erat. I honestly don't know. Maybe Ladislav Nagy if he's still here. So we definitely have a lot of options for the future of our top 6. The next comment is from Jared the Rabbit, who says, let's hope Stahl doesn't complain about Pride jerseys despite wearing one in the previous year like he did IRL. And yeah, that's a little bit of a controversial topic. I'm not going to really get into that, but obviously, yeah, Eric Stahl, not really super high on my list of people that made smart decisions in the NHL. I'm honestly for Pride jerseys and for jerseys of all like traditions and stuff like that. So I don't understand why some people just can't afford to wear one for even like 20 minutes or something like that, or say that they don't want to wear them for 20 minutes, even though you totally did. So that's just my opinion. I know I might lose some subscribers or whatever from saying that, my opinion, but that's just my opinion on things. I know you guys have your opinions on things as well. So, but anyways, there is the comments we got in last episode. So I think we are ready to get to free agency, which I'm very excited about. Obviously, I was looking at basically the depth chart of a roster a little bit more in depth not too long ago, and I realized basically what we need. I wrote it down on a piece of paper, hence why I'm looking down a little bit right now. We need a third line left wing and a fourth line right wing, and also a depth winger, and then we're going to probably need 3 right-handed defensemen for our team, and that should be pretty much all we really need. So the third line left wing that we're going to bring in, I did find one already. The other positions, I have not found players that I'm going to sign yet, so I'm going to obviously be doing that in this episode. But the third line left wing that I think I'm going to be bringing in here is Lubos Barteshko. I think he's just like the perfect kind of fit for us. He had a really good season in the AHL last year, it looks like. I mean, really good over point per game. He's 81. He's got some good offensive attributes. Like, I think he'll be a perfect guy for the third line to play next to, like, David Legwand and Martin Erat. So I think he's just a really good piece. He's also only wanting 1.35. So I think that's a good little contract. Him being only 26 is great. He is going to be obviously being exact soon. But obviously he could get a contract extension depending on how he plays this upcoming season. So for now, we're going to give him only the 1-year deal. I will give him a little bit more than he's asking just in case there's another team that decides to hop into the contract debate. But we'll sign him for a 1-year deal and see if he'll accept that. Because obviously him being the youngest of the left wingers, like, I mean, there's Jan Holovic as well, but he's too good. So I would prefer somebody that actually could fit that type of role a little bit more. So hopefully Barteshko accepts that. We also do need a fourth line right wing, as I did mention. So let's see what we got here in terms of the young guys that could fit that fourth line right wing spot. We could bring in Marcus Nilsson. He's only 25 years old, 79 overall, two-way forward, good defensively. I think that's got to be the guy for the fourth line. Because we want our team to be a little bit better than obviously last year. And we don't want to fall apart like crazy. We are going to need to bring in some new coaches this year too. So that's going to be another thing that this team's going to need to do going forward. So let's just bring in Marcus Nilsson on a one-year deal for that fourth line. And we also could use a fourth line, or not fourth line, just a depth forward that's like a winger. Because we already have a depth center, and that's Klassen, who's a 75. So it doesn't really matter how high this guy's overall is, but a depth forward would be nice. Like Svechkovsky's okay. Also Pavel Rosa. Let me look at their attributes here. I think I would probably prefer Pavel Rosa, maybe. Just because he's a playmaker. Yeah, let's bring in Pavel Rosa. And he wants a two-way deal as well, which is not too bad. So Pavel Rosa will be jumping to our depth forward with Klassen. So there's two depth forwards. Now we need basically three defensemen on the right-hand side preferably, which is not great. But I don't want to sign anybody that's too good, but at the same time we might have to. Should we target, though, Sammy Salo? Let's go right defense, make this a bit easier. So Sammy Salo, John Clem, a lot of older type of guys. If we want younger guys, there is Laflamme. There is also Andy Delmore. Andy Delmore actually played for the Preds, so I'm going to bring in Andy Delmore. He is asking for 3 years. I will give him a 2-year deal. And see if he'll accept that. Because I'm okay with it giving him a 2-year deal, because then we have a chance to flip him away. But 3 years seems a bit much, at least in my opinion. So 2 years at $2 million. He'll be maybe playing on our top defensive pairing. What else we got here? Brian Pothier and Wade Belak. I wouldn't be opposed to bringing in Wade Belak, to be honest. Yeah, let's bring in a face puncher like Wade Belak, just to give us a face puncher, because we like our face punchers around here. And should I bring in Brian Pothier as the other one? I don't think that would be a bad option either. It is making us a little bit weak defensively, but obviously we're waiting until our defensive prospects get ready. So let's bring in Pothier as well on a 1-year, 2-way deal. And I think that should be pretty much good. Maybe I should bring in one more just in case. I don't know. Maybe I should be fine. Yeah, I should be fine. So that should be pretty much all I need to really sign in this offseason, provided everybody accepts. I might need more players for the AHL, but it's not the biggest problem in the world. There is some big notable RFAs, or two notable RFAs. That's Luongo and Datsuk. Obviously, Datsuk just made the Hall of Fame too, speaking of Hall of Fame. And Luongo just won his first Stanley Cup, but obviously not as a player. So that's cool. Some really good representation in this roster build right now. So I think that's all we're going to do in terms of signings. And I think we're ready to simulate, because I don't know if I should go for any coaches yet. How much scouts do we have? 20 out of 20. That's good. Should I go for coaches yet? Probably not, because we don't have our full roster. Maybe I could. Yeah, maybe I could already. Let's just see if there's anybody super high in terms of team fit right now. 61% on Bennett Mestre. 49 years old as well, so he could kind of grow with our team. But that's based on people that were with this team last season. I mean, if worst comes to worst, I could fire these guys right away. There's also a 62 in Dominic Kames. Let's sign a bunch of those 60% guys. I think that's probably what the play is. And if for some reason these coaches still don't fit the team well at the start of the season, we could easily just change our coaching staff around a bit. But we want obviously to have better coaches than last year, because obviously last season we hired some really bad coaches just to basically make our team really bad. And it almost worked out in terms of getting Patrice Bergeron, but the Boston Bruins obviously won the draft lottery, but that's okay. Let's see, who is the other ones? So we have also Mohammed Cardwell. We'll get you as an associate. And then the other guy we'll try as an assistant. And we need a goalie coach. We also do need an AHL coaches as well. So we might have to hire a ton of coaches in this episode. More than I'm used to, I should say. Because usually I don't have like a complete empty coaching staff. But we might have one, or we do have one right now, I should say. In terms of goalie coaches, who do I want for my goalie coach in the NHL? Let's go teaching grade. There's a goalie coach. We'll bring him in. Or her, I should say. Veronica Bobick. Let's go NHL goalie coach. Bang. So that should be good in terms of coaches for the NHL. I could wait on the AHL coaches right now, but I probably should get them hired up. So let's just continue to look at AHL coaches now, I guess. Sort just by overall, see what we got in terms of fit. Ooh, 49, that's pretty good. Drake Holt. Drake Holt, you're going to be our AHL head coach. Hopefully. For some reason, this guy's game face always reminds me of a certain actor. I can't remember his name, but yeah, for some reason it reminds me of some actor from a TV show I saw before. You guys might know who I think of, but I honestly have no idea. Damn, somebody... Wow, that crazy hair on Adela Vaborny. Jeez. So big that it's literally almost like right behind a name. It's crazy. There's a 44 in Herbis. We'll get you as an associate coach. This guy looks like Stone Cold. Imagine if he was Stone Cold, just decided to change his name to Richard Herbis. That's funny. Okay, that's almost it in terms of head coaches, apparently, that are down there. Let's go to associate. We need an assistant coach still to offer a contract to down there. Which there's Anderchuk. Let's do that. Assistant coach for Weston Anderchuk, who still looks like Nick Ehlers. And we will also find ourselves another goalie coach for the AHL team. Let's go all coaches, though, on this one. And we will sign this one as the AHL goalie coach, Philip Weirkoch. Boom. Hopefully all those coaches want to come on board to Nashville. They might not, based on how we played, obviously, last season. But hopefully they're all on board, because obviously changing the coaching staff is a big priority on this roster. All right, let's advance a few days and see if we get our free agent signings and our coaches, because that's what we're hoping for right now. There is our goalie coach, so welcome aboard to Veronica Bobick. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but welcome aboard. Drake Holt is also on board as the AHL head coach. That's really good, considering it looks like he could be a good AHL coach down there. Same with Richard Herbis, a.k.a. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Welcome aboard. Weston Anderchuk on board as the assistant coach, so our AHL coaching staff almost fully done, and there is Weirkoch. So the AHL coaching staff is full on rostered, ready. We just got to wait on some NHL coaches. There's Ben Mestre as our NHL head coach, so excited for that. What else we got here? Mohammed Cardwell on board as the associate coach. And also Dominic Hames as the assistant coach, which means I think we got all our coaches within a few days, which is great. Now we just got to wait on the free agent signings, but yeah, we have all of our coaches. The only thing is I might have to fire one in order to reorder this based on scheme fit, but we have apparently a 72% staff chemistry, and we literally just hired everybody, so seems like everybody is very excited to work with each other, which is exactly what this organization needs after the turmoil from last season. All right, will our free agent signings accept? We offered a lot of contracts. We're waiting on guys like Barteshko and all that, and there is Lubos. I like the fact that I could take on a leadership role on your team based on my skills. So Lubos Barteshko wants to be a little bit of a leader on this team, and I really, really admire that for our third line going forward, because we need a leader on this young team. And apparently Wade Belak thinks we're going to make the playoffs this year. So shout out to Wade Belak and his optimism. Hopefully, I wish he had that optimism in real life. Shout out to Wade Belak. Rest in peace, man. He died way too early in his life. I remember walking back from, I think it was back from school, and seeing the newspaper and the headlines that he had passed away, and it was very sad to hear about. Obviously, being a Sens fan, I've seen a lot of Wade Belak playing against the Leafs and whatnot, so shout out to him. And I'm glad that he's on board on this team, and hopefully we can win a Stanley Cup with him on the roster. And Andy Delmore also thinks we're going to make the playoffs, so shout out to Andy Delmore for believing in this team. Pavel Rosa has rejected. He does not like the chemistry in the locker room. Seems like a lot of a mixed bag with this people that are saying, hey, I'll sign with this team. And Marcus Nilsson likes this signing for himself and for the franchise. Pothier's also going to reject. Okay, so a couple rejections in there, but everybody seems to be optimistic that is signing with us, which is good. So who is it that rejected, basically? It was Pothier, and I don't remember who the other one was. Is there that approach thing? Oh yeah, approached, right? No, it's not going to show it now because they... Oh boy. I know it was Pothier that we still need to sign. I can't remember who the other one that didn't sign with us was. It might have been a Ford. Oh yeah, I think it was. Let me go down to Brian Pothier. Let's go to right-handed defenders because this is just way too much defenseman. At least Pothier didn't sign with any other team yet, so we should be able to still get him if we give him a little bit more money. Let's give him like the max two-way contract. So Pothier. And then the other one was who? It might not have been a defenseman, so it was probably... Oh, it was probably the depth forward. I can't even remember who it was now. Oh yeah, Pavel Rosa, okay. Pavel Rosa. Rosa Diaz. Yeah, I watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Or I watched it all, I should say. 950k for two-way. Yeah, let's see if max two-way deals will work on those guys. If not, I could give them one-way contracts. Or we could bring in just random veterans like Pat Verbeek. But then again, he probably wants to go to a cup contender. And some people think we're cup contenders, but other teams not so much. Our players not so much. Will those guys accept the max two-way contracts? Rosa rejects. Pothier rejects. Okay. More money may anticipate them or make them a little bit more excited to sign. So we'll get them signed up on one-way deals because obviously salary cap doesn't matter too much in the series. And I don't know why this is so sorted so weirdly. Let's go like that. But we'll give them a one-way deal. That's okay because we have the money. And obviously I'm okay with giving people one-way deals anyways, especially when they should be wanting one-way deals. Pavel Rosa was a fringe NHLer, so him wanting a one-way deal wouldn't make too much sense, but it's okay. So I'll give them both like similar contracts, and they should both accept now. And then we'll actually be able to get to the next season soon, which is exciting. Because I'm excited to see what this team could do, especially Marita. He's got some a big chance to be Rookie of the Year this year. So Rosa... excited to be likely a go-to man, so he thinks he's going to be on the roster full-time. And then Brian Pothier is also joining the club. Okay, so I think we're ready to sim to next season already. But we are going to simulate till the end of the month because we also got to take a look at some AI signings. Because obviously, being a throwback franchise mode, this is probably one of the most exciting things, is seeing what teams do in the off-season and also trade deadline, obviously, too. So... we'll see what ends up happening in terms of movement. Looked like John Clem signed with the LA Kings, which he obviously played for, but he's probably going to get flipped away before he makes his debut, my guess. All right, so we'll take a look at some stuff from this month, and then obviously we'll get to next season as fast as possible. We probably won't simulate too much because obviously this episode's already a little bit long, and I don't have all the day in the world to record, so... let's see what we got here. So there was one trade this offseason. It was a third, a sixth, and Mika Alatalo going to the Colorado Avalanche for a second-round pick. So I think Alatalo must have been a free agent signing by Vancouver, and then they flipped him immediately for a second-round pick. So Vancouver's still just loading up on picks. Speaking of which, I should actually take a look at how much picks they have for future drafts, because I know they had a lot of picks in that 03 draft, but I'm not too sure about the future. Because it seems like they always have like made a ton of trades in the series. So what do they have in terms of draft picks? So for the 2028 draft, which is 2003-04, or the 04 draft, I should say, they have a first, they have 4 seconds, a third, a fifth, a sixth. They already have 2 seconds for the year afterwards. So they don't have as much picks as you would think. They probably had a lot for 2003, and that was pretty much it. But they'll definitely continue to load up on picks as time goes on. All right, in terms of free agent signings, this should be exciting to see where players had signed. So, any big signings, I won't read them all out because or else my voice will die. But John Graham going to Carolina right around the time he actually went to the Carolina Hurricanes. Obviously, he was on the cup-winning Tampa Bay Lightning team in 04, but he was with Carolina, I believe, for not for 05-06. I think it was 06-07 or 07-08. Yeah, I think it was like 07-08, so it might have been a few years too much into the future, but still, him signing with Carolina is pretty cool. What else we got here? Manny Legacy also going to Carolina, so Legacy going to Carolina quite a bit early because he was there in 2010, I'd like to say. Martin Gerber, New Jersey. Anything crazy do we got? A lot of goalies signing this offseason, it looks like. Dwayne Rolson signing with the Canadiens. That's an interesting one. What else we got here? Our former defenseman Paul Lowe signed with the Ottawa Senators. What else we got here? Mike Leclerc signing with the Flames. I'm pretty sure this is right around the time he was with the Flames, but I know he was also with the Coyotes. But I think this was around the time he was with the Flames. It was right after like the lockout or something like that. So that's kind of neat. Dan Blackburn going to the Islanders on his ELC probably. So he was drafted, I think, by the Islanders in the series or traded to them. But he gets a 3-year contract. So kind of weird him on the Islanders rather than the Rangers. What else we got here? Not a lot of big names. Some generated guy named Edward Stanton signing in Colorado. What else we got here? Brendan Witt to Florida. Ken Cleary signing in Washington. Greg DeVries signed with the Atlanta Thrashers. That's kind of neat considering 2004-05 during the lockout is when he was dealt to the Atlanta Thrashers by the Ottawa Senators with Marian Hossa for Danny Heatley. So Dave Vanderchuk going back to the Devils, which is a big part of his career, on a 1-year deal trying to win a Stanley Cup before the series ends. So he left. Did he start on Tampa in the series? I feel like he didn't, but I honestly don't remember. No, he didn't. He was in like Colorado or Boston. I think he was in Colorado, but he's looking to win a Stanley Cup before he retires. What else we got here? Chris Mason, our former backup / AHL goalie, going to Boston. Jay McKee as well. Philip Kuba too. So Boston loading up. Eric Cole going to Tampa Bay. Nice little signing there. Pat Verbeek to Colorado, trying to win a Stanley Cup. Fernando Pisani going to Toronto. Maybe that'll help Toronto in future Game 7s. You never know. Fernando Pisani is the GOAT, so you never know. Never know. What else we got here? A lot of no-names, pretty much. Kent Manderville going back to Toronto, where he started his career, I think. Mike Wilson, our former defenseman, signs in Toronto as well. Robert Esch to Edmonton. Okay. Yeah, not a lot of big free agents this year, so it's not going to be the most craziest signings in the world, but still. Aaron Miller going to Detroit. Adam Graves signs in Montreal. That's kind of a weird one. Obviously, there's some of our signings. What else we got here? Rhett Warner signs in Carolina, our former defenseman as well. Marty Reisner to Washington. Darren Quinn to St. Louis. Yeah, not a lot of big names, to be honest. Not a lot. If you guys see something I missed, though, obviously let me know, because I could miss stuff. Alex Dagg signing with the Coyotes. Craig Johnson's not a big name, really. German Titov to St. Louis. Groshek signs in Detroit. Dackel in New Jersey. Zamener in Detroit. Detroit's going to be insane when we look at the roster in the next season, because we'll look at it at the beginning of the 04-05 season, I think. Gary Galley signs back in Philadelphia, where he played in his career, so that's cool. Oh my God, no. That is something I don't think anybody wants to see. Montreal fans especially, but I don't think anybody in the entire world would want to see that. Patrick Waugh has joined the Toronto Maple Leafs on a 1-year contract. I think I should just quit the game right now and not save. No, I'm joking. Oh my God, that is disgusting. I don't even really want to look at him in a Leafs jersey, but I might have to. Oh my goodness. Adam Oates signs with New Jersey. Salo in Detroit. Todd White in Detroit. Detroit's just loading up every year. Crazy. But shout out to Patrick Waugh and Toronto Maple Leafs. God damn, that's gross. Willie Mitchell in San Jose. Curtis Joseph signed with the Flyers. Danny Briere signed with Ottawa. That's cool. Merrick Malik to Arizona. LaPointe to Dallas. Jeff O'Neill to Boston. Chris Simon does go to the Rangers, where he actually played. Datsu gets a 3-year contract out of his RFA status, which means there's a chance that Datsu could hit UFA status in the next few years, which would be a big center out there for sure. Luongo gets another 1-year contract out of arbitration. He's getting close to being a free agent. And then there's a lot of our signings again. Brathwaite going to St. Louis, where he actually played. Brian Leach going to Vancouver. Kind of weird. A lot of other former players of our signing places. Andreas Johansson going back to Chicago. Mark Parrish to Chicago. Olli Jokinen to Anaheim. That's an interesting one. Okay. I might have to take a look at Patrick Waugh in Toronto. I know Habs fans are going to probably scream, I'm going to probably scream because it's probably one of the grossest things you're ever going to see in the series. That just does not look right. He's going to wear the number 38, apparently. He's 38 years old now at this point, too. It's him and Brian Boucher in Toronto. Let's take a look at Patrick Waugh, Toronto Maple Leafs colors. Let me remove my face. Obviously, his gear is not colored accordingly, but that is not exactly what I anticipated to see in this episode. What the hell, man? Oh my god. Okay. Well, I think we've seen enough of that. Getting 4.965 million. Shout out to Patrick Waugh. But let's begin the sim up to next season, get our line set up, and it will probably simulate a tiny little bit as well. I should probably edit my trading block because I'm getting thrown too much offers, and I don't really want any offers. Not at the moment. It's just kind of annoying getting these trade offers, but the off seasons are very weird when people, like, for instance, when Ron Francis went to Detroit, that was kind of weird, but this Patrick Waugh one is definitely probably the weirdest signing we've seen yet. Because do you think Patrick Waugh would have done that in real life, sign with the Toronto Maple Leafs? Because I don't think he would have. That's like equivalent for Montreal fans as if he signed with the Quebec Nordiques before they became the Avs, in a sense. That's just very weird. Like, you never sign with a rival like that. You just don't. It's like if Daniel Alfredson was on Toronto, so to speak. I feel like that's basically the equivalent. But it's pretty disgusting seeing that. Okay, let's get our line set up. We do also need a new captain this season, which is exciting. But I don't know if I'll name a new captain yet. I might want your guys' opinion on that. And we'll have to edit Marita's number. I also need to readjust the draft class quality, which might not kick in until next year now because I just forgot to do that. Damn it, that's not good. Let's see. What do we want to do in terms of our lines? We got to go with Nagy on the top line. Greg Johnson's dropped off a lot. He is a pending free agent, so this is a big year to decide if what we want to do with Greg Johnson. Marita, Spezza, Hartnell has a +5. I love to see that. Sullivan, Johnson, Nagy. We'll go with Erat, Legwand, Barteshko, Nilsson, Arkhipov, and Ramsey Abid. Maybe actually we'll keep Ramsey Abid out for Pavel Rosa. That's actually okay. Can any of these other guys win faceoffs? Looks like Nilsson kind of can. So we'll put Nilsson down the middle, I guess, instead. Yeah, that's not looking too bad. Not looking too bad. Defensively, Wade Belak on the top pairing's kind of neat, but I don't know if I would do that, to be honest. There we go. That's looking better. Yeah, that's looking okay. It's not looking great defensively, but the chemistry should help it. DiPietro is technically better than Vokun right now. We have 2 depth forwards. Somebody needs to get called up still. Yeah, oh, it's Greg Klassen. I'll keep Greg Klassen down instead, I guess. We do need a depth defenseman called up, which is going to be Andrew Hutchinson. Because he's not really much of anything. So might as well keep him as our 7th D. We don't have the best depth. So if we want to make the playoffs, we obviously need to bring in more depth. But obviously, it's not super important to make the playoffs this year. But obviously, we want to have a better season than last year for sure. Alright, so that's looking good. Once the morale goes up on this team, I think the defense will look a lot better than it looks currently because Hal Gill still listed as a top 4. And then same with Strassens. Like, I think those guys should be like 81 overalls. So I think the defense will look a little bit better soon. So it's okay. Power play. Chemistry looks okay. Spezza, Hartnell, Marita, Sullivan, Barteshko. Alright. Delmore, Pothier, Legwand, Johnson, Nagy. It's not too bad. What's the chemistry like with this current coach? It's not that bad. Looks good in the AHL too. Maybe not on that top 6 pairing because we don't have enough defenders apparently. The best chemistry we could get probably for our defensive core is probably this. And I don't really want Trevor Daley being there. Hey, look at that. We could get rid of all the minuses. Okay, I'll do that. And then Sedin and Dan Ellis. I like it. I like it. Alright, so the AHL looks good. The NHL looks good. I think we're pretty much ready to start. I just want to take a look at the scheme fits and stuff. And also I want to readjust the draft class quality. Marita's already got an assistant captaincy in his first season. I think I got to give it to him. And I think Greg Johnson's okay to be the captain for the season. because he could get traded away, and it's a big season for him. I think I'm okay with Greg Johnson being the captain. Yeah, I think that's good for him. We are going to readjust some jersey numbers here quickly. I am going to make Hal Gill not have 26 because Sullivan should have 26. Hal Gill will get 25 if it's available, which it is. And then I will change Marita to like 28, I think. 28 is taken. 27 might be okay. Yeah, let's give 27 to Marita. Let's give 27 to Marita. Yeah, I think that would be good. I could give him like 03 because he was part of the 2003 draft class or 3, but number 3 is a 4 is a little bit weird. Scratchins already has it anyways. Yeah, I think I'm okay with that. It's just kind of funny that Marita's already getting an assistant captaincy in his first season, but I think that I'm okay with that. I could give it to somebody like Scott Hartnell, but let's just leave it like that. The game knows what's best sometimes, so leave it like that. Let's go to settings here. Let me readjust the draft quality. I don't think it's going to affect this year's draft, unfortunately, because I decided to make this before the draft got actually created. So this will come into effect probably next season. So draft class quality, we'll change this back to medium. And then we'll also put medium as well on that. There we go. So set those back to medium. I don't think it'll affect this year's draft class, unfortunately. But there is that. So let's get to going to our coaching staff here briefly. Let's take a look at the scheme fit on our current coach, see how good it is. 63. That's not bad. We're not going to go to a different coach yet. What about the AHL head coach? 67. Okay, I think we got the right coaches intact. Obviously, we could take a look and see if these other guys are better, but for now, we'll keep it like that. Obviously, we could fire a coach and just kind of reorganize it at some point, but right now, I just want to simulate a little bit because I've already been recording for like 36 minutes. Don't want this episode being an hour long like some episodes of my series have been, because I know you guys don't have all the day in the world just to watch like an episode for an hour long. But let's get through this preseason. We'll probably simulate to December the 1st, so a little bit of the season just to see how Marita does in his first few games of action. Why do we have like a full week in between preseason games? Like, this is kind of the worst schedule I've ever seen. Like, 2 games in a row, back-to-back, and then you don't play till the 25th. That just seems ridiculous. But oh well. It's the preseason. Doesn't matter too much. And we go 0-2-1 in the preseason, or 0-2-0-1, I should say. And Scott Hartnell led with 4 points in those 3 games. All right. Now, how good are we going to actually do in terms of the regular season? Because I feel like it's going to be a little bit weird. Let me take a look at the player overalls now, see if anybody dropped off or jumped back up. Yeah, Greg Johnson went break up to an 87. So our team's starting to look a bit stronger because of that. Sullivan going back up to an 84. Defense looks a bit stronger. That's good. That's what I was kind of hoping for. Hopefully, if those guys start to drop off and they're not very happy with how this team's performing, we obviously could make some trades and try and reorganize things. Because we could definitely run Spets as a top-line center instead of Greg Johnson. Okay, so let's go to the end of the month. Why do we have so much games on Thursday? I have no idea, but let's go to the end of this first month and see how Marita does in his first month of NHL action. So far, off to a little bit of a streaky start, but that's what you expect with a roster like this. Our defense isn't super strong, but our forward group is starting to come together. But we do have the defense of the future coming up eventually in the next 3 to 5 seasons. 9-4-1 in our first month. The Marita effect might be real, because that's way better than I anticipated. 9-4-1 in our first 14 games. Not bad. Not bad from this Preds team. Let's go one more month of simulating, and then we'll take a look at our player stats. I'm expecting us to drop off this month because I don't think we should be a playoff team based on our defense, but something seems to be clicking so far this year. It could be the new coaches. Who knows? But let's go to the end of this month, and then we'll take a look at some player stats and team stats and see what's going for us so far this year. Hal Gill has been injured with an injured foot. Okay. Probably stubbed his toe trying to get on the ice or something. I don't really know, but we'll take him out. That's definitely going to make us worse for a bit. As Travis Moen has been injured in the AHL, we'll go replace player on that. And Hal Gill is back. That's good. That is good. Yeah, I think Marita's going to have a good chance to win Rookie of the Year next to Spezza. But then again, Spezza's technically, I think, a rookie this year too, right? Or was he last year? I don't remember, honestly. I don't know why I'm drawing a blank with a lot of these things, but my brain just cannot think properly right now. All right. Okay, we'll get through that. Let's see what we do here. 3. Yeah, we're starting to drop a bit too much games as of late, which kind of sucks, but like I said, we aren't going to have that consistency yet. We'll take Anderson out, I guess. Yeah, we'll take Jonas Anderson out for Moen. Because I would prefer John Scott and Alakis to stay in the lineup. Let's continue to simulate. Game against Dallas, 4-2 win, 3-2 win, 3-1 win, okay. Smithson is injured. We'll go replace player on that. Yeah, still a very inconsistent. Apparently, it's a good year for rookies, which is interesting. This would be technically Ovechkin's draft class, but unfortunately, I don't have enough. I can't make draft classes for 5+ seasons. But 14-9-2. We are last place in our division. However, we played the least amount of games, and we are only 2 points back of teams that are ahead of us, and then also 8 points back of the Red Wings. We're off to a good start. We're off to a good start. There's definitely probably some underlying problems, but Steve Sullivan is over point per game. That's definitely going to raise his trade value quite a bit if this team doesn't make the playoffs. Let's take a look at some standings stuff so far this year. So if we go to Western Conference, we are in 5th place. So we might be 4th in our division, but we're in 5th place in the entire Western Conference. So at the moment, we are a playoff team. Obviously, it's a tight race, but that's pretty great to see. Also, the Vancouver Canucks are starting to take form too. So shout out to the Canucks, who obviously did dreadful in the first number of years and are now starting to find their game a little bit too. St. Louis is doing way better than last year too, which is kind of surprising. And Edmonton as well. All right. So currently, though, let's take a look here. Entire league. We are currently not a top 10 team. Florida's currently number 1 after they've won back-to-back cups already in this universe, which is kind of nuts. Goals for per game. We are not one of the top offensive teams, but that's okay. What about defensively? We're one of the better defensive teams. That's actually kind of shocking to me. We're a top 10 defensive team in the NHL. Our power play is pretty dreadful, so we're not a huge offensive threat. But apparently we're really good defensively 5-on-5 because penalty kill wise, we're doing dreadful. Yeah, a little bit of a weird start. I feel like we're definitely going to drop off soon based on that. But let's take a look at some player stats so far this season. Oh my goodness, I already see some stats I like to see. But Greg Johnson on 21 points, Spezza on 20 points. Jason Spezza off to a good start in his second season for sure. He did obviously play last year. Now looks like 32 points last year in 82 games this year. He is definitely doing really good next to Morita. He's a pure passer. You love to see it. Yeah, I really like how Spets is playing this year. Legwand on 9 points isn't too bad. Arkhipov on 6, which I think is pretty solid compared to last year. Yeah, he actually is on pace for a career high. Maybe. So shout out to Arkhipov. Not too bad down the middle. Greg Johnson's trade value is definitely going up as well as the season goes on. Nagy on 22 points. He's also been good. But look at this. The Morita effect. 20 points in his first 25 career games. Already 9 goals, 11 assists. He already has 80 shots in 25 games. So he's shooting 11.3%. He's like the Ovechkin of the series, I feel like, right now. Because that's a lot of shots per game. Like, I don't know how much that's averaging. Let me see. 80 divided by 25. 3.2 shots per game. Okay, maybe not Ovechkin territory yet, but still. Good start for the Morita. Maybe we should put him on the penalty kill too, because I don't think he's on the penalty kill right now. His takeaway numbers are pretty good. Yeah. Really liking the way Morita's playing so far. So there's Morita. We also have Hartnell on 14 points. He's also been good. Barteshko's on 11. That's really solid too. I like it. Sullivan, 29 points, has obviously been really good. And he's got 2 more years on his contract. Maybe we trade him away if our team's not going to make the playoffs. But we might make the playoffs. Rozon, 14 points is really surprising. Really surprising. Even Nilsson's been good too with 12 points. Only the 1 goal, but still. Erad on 9 points ain't too bad. Plus 7. Alright. I'm liking the way our offense is simulating, even though it hasn't been the best. Defensively, Andy Delmore's on 14 points. Liking that from Delmore. We definitely needed that offensive kind of guy. because everybody else is pretty much pure defense. And Wade Belak already has 87 penalty minutes, so he's punching faces, which is why we brought him in. Goaltending-wise, Thomas Vokoun's got a .921 save percentage. Believe in Vokoun. A lot of us were thinking about potentially trading him away, but Thomas Vokoun is having a huge year. A huge year. And obviously Rick DiPietro is probably the future starter, but Vokoun is having a monster season compared to prior years. Last year he rocked an .893. This year's rocking a .921. He might be the most improved player in the league at this stage. That's crazy. Okay, let's take a quick look at the rest of the league too, just for fun, even though we're early into the season, and then that'll be it for this episode. So currently Peter Bonder's leading the league in points. Him, Fedorov, and Amante. And then Yager and Bonder tied in goals. Korea right behind them. Alright. Best defenseman so far for points, Yanni Niinema. With a bunch of other guys like Blake, Lidstrom, Desjardins. A lot of guys over 20 points. Best goaltender so far for wins, Osgood with 17. And Balakov, Osgood hiding shutouts. Save percentage. No guys are doing that well. The best is Vokoun through 21 games. And then also Jocelyn Thibault through 25 games. Is Vokoun going to somehow win a Vezina this season if he keeps up on this pace? Because he's definitely been one of the best goalies in the league, which is really weird. No goalie goals so far this season, not a surprise. Most assists so far is Abisher. Best rookie so far, Stefan Merida is currently leading rookie of the year candidate status. Him, Alex Semin is number 2 though. Ooh, Alex Semin's been good. Jesse Wanvig, Brad Boys, Pascal Jelena, Corey Perry. Interesting. Don't worry, Atlanta, you're never going to win a Stanley Cup with Corey Perry. He makes you not win the Stanley Cup apparently. Especially after 07 at least. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Nashville Predators Throwback 2000 franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll simulate more of the season. Probably simulate up to a day before the trade deadline in the next episode. It depends on how, I guess, good this team's simulating. Because I think, obviously, if we're playing good enough, we should probably try and make the playoffs. But obviously, if our team's still kind of like 500 or below 500... maybe we think about moving out from guys like Steve Sullivan, Greg Johnson, because obviously they're getting a bit older, and we already have the future pieces in place to replace them. Greg Johnson's a pending free agent, so it makes sense to move on from him. Sullivan is still signed for a few more years, so maybe we could hold on to him, but he is playing very good, so his trade value is probably only increasing at the moment. So let me know down below, and I'll see you guys next time.